Have you ever wondered how GitHub Copilot seems so magical? Like, not only does it understand the file that you're in, but it also understands the files that you have open, as well as your workspace diagnostics. Let's see if we can figure out how that works. We're going to go to stakz.dev and select Automation Tutorial. Then, we're going to enter, I want to learn how to view the requests and responses to GitHub Copilot on Mac. We're going to select some models. We'll go with Gemini, GPT-4, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and those are the best ones, and we'll hit go. Let's see, so as expected, it's wanting us to install man-in-the-middle proxy to intercept network traffic. Looks like we can install via brew. We need to configure the system proxy to route traffic through man-in-the-middle proxy. Let's see, it looks like we need to install the SSL certificate, start the proxy, and then trigger Copilot and view the traffic. We can filter the traffic to look at only Copilot requests. Cool. Looks pretty straightforward. Let's give it a try. All right, so let's start with brew install man-in-the-middle proxy. Okay. Now we have to configure the system proxy. I found that to do this for a session, it actually works better to run the following export command. So that's going to be the proxy settings to route traffic through localhost 8080, where man-in-the-middle will be listening. Installing the SSL certificate, I'll let you do that on your own. I've already done that. Now let's start man-in-the-middle web. That'll open man-in-the-middle web at this localhost. I'll copy and paste that into Chrome. All right, so here's man-in-the-middle. We can see our requests and responses here. So now I just have to trigger Copilot. So let's go to a new session, do our export HTTPS proxy, type vim. I have this simple app.tsx with this test component. The test component simply has foo and bars properties and just displays something pretty basic. So let's delete that and see if Copilot's smart enough to know to get the test component. So I started typing TES and it gets test component with the correct properties. So how did it do that? It has to know about my project somehow. Let's take a look at man-in-the-middle and see what it has. So we have a completions request. So this completions request should probably tell us what exactly happened. So let's go ahead and copy that and edit the file. Okay, let's format it a little bit. All right, here's the prompt that we sent to Copilot. So first of all, it's telling it the path, and then saying compare this snippet from test component. So it's giving it a reference with comments, interestingly enough. Cool. So this is where it's able to get the context. It takes the open file that you have and adding it to the context, but then as we type, it doesn't have the actual file that we were working in commented out, but it has the context file commented out. Interesting. And so here's where we were typing. And then here's the metadata parameters, like the number of tokens and the temperature. So then we have some next indent, prop tokens, and suffix tokens. I'm not sure exactly what that does, but we can see that it's taking my open file, this test component, and appending that to the prompt, or prepending rather, so that it has the context for the autosuggest. It's not bad. Let's see if it works if we do it with Copilot Chat. Please add a test component to the card div. Here's another completions. So it's got a response. All right, here's our Copilot completions again. Let's see what this one has. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. The chat system and the autocomplete system are slightly different. So the chat system gives a little bit of extra context for what the goal is and what role the AI should assume. You're an AI programming assistant. Let's name GitHub Copilot. Follow Microsoft's content policies. Avoid content that violates copyright. So a bunch of rules are being added. It's saying that I use NeoVim. That's interesting. Avoid content that's harmful, hateful, racist, sexist, lewd, violent, or completely irrelevant. And only respond with, sorry, I can't assist with that. Okay. So here's the content. So a little bit different in how it's expressing the file context. Here's my active selection excerpt from the app.tsx lines 1 through 30. So it is limiting the number of lines, although I think that is the entire file. And this is interesting. Here's the diagnostics in my active selection. So for example, this is actually dialing into my LSP, or language server protocol, and figuring out some of the things that the LSP is saying are wrong. So for example, I'd imported the test component, but I never used it. So Copilot's able to take that and be like, interesting, there's an import here. They're asking to include the test component. I bet you that this is important. So anytime you have a fix this error and Copilot just magically does it, it's using information from your language server protocol in the prompt. So it's not magic. Still pretty close though. Okay. And now this is interesting. So this is referencing a file with a pointer, but this isn't actually sent to it. So this file source app.tsx context must have been saved somehow by Copilot, whether that's the model itself, probably not the model itself, but maybe the service, the Copilot service that's kind of keeping track of your file changes and then can kind of limit the amount of tokens back and forth. Interesting. Let's see if there's any other requests for context. So we have agents, models, completions. So this is chat completions and then code completions. I wonder what all these telemetry requests are. So in this video, we went to stakz.dev, selected automation tutorial, and asked it to generate an automation tutorial for how to view the network traffic to GitHub Copilot, ran man-in-the-middle proxy, inspected the network requests, and then analyzed it to figure out the differences. Turns out that there's differences between the autosuggest feature and the Copilot chat feature. Autosuggest is able to send the entire context of the open files that you have that may be relevant, but chat somehow sent a pointer, but it still worked. So how does it do that? Like and subscribe for another video.